right. What up, though, sis?
What's up? What's up, family?
What's up, guys? It's me, Tia Elise, better known as authoress Tracy E. Christian, and this is the Right Stuff podcast. I would like to tell y'all that this is our first broadcast, but we had two earlier this year, and then we had to take a hiatus to get some things improved. So what better way to kick back off than to welcome uh, my everything, my sister, my homegirl, my mentor, and then my latest B-side books authoress. She's also a poet. She's a novelist. You know what I'm saying? Her name is Dawn L. Crooks. Y'all might know her as Wisdom, the psalmist. What's up, sissy?
One love, people. One love, people. Hi, everyone.
No, play a little applause, for it, a little something. Hi, sis. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so look, we're going to get right into this now. If you guys follow me in my literary game all the way back 10 years ago to the Live Ladies of Literature, all the way up to now with the B-Side Broadcasting Network and B-Side Books, then you have seen this young woman's face before, okay? She has graced my stage several times, for the radio as well as for, my books and stuff. She's hosted a book signing for me. She wrote the poem in Toast to the Fool, my novel. So this sister has been around, but today I get to feature her as a writer, as a 3-time published author, because we went to print today, did we not, sis?
Yes, we did. It is official.
I'm excited about that. You know what I mean? I'm feeling good about that. And the first thing I want to ask you, and I think you are going to, this is cool because you're going to make history, because this is the way I'm going to start all of my Right Stuff author interviews. We're going to take we're going to take a cue from the movie Brown Sugar. And I'm going to say,
okay,
when did you fall in love with the spoken word or the written word? When did you fall in love with it?
I have been writing since I could hold a pen. That's the truth. I don't think I fell in love with it until I knew that it could actually mean something to someone else. I think as writers, we probably journal or do short stories and not necessarily expect that anybody else will ever read them. A lot of times it's personal. And I think I was in the 6th grade. This is honest guy's truth. And I did a play about creation. And we had to, it was a play, so we had to memorize the lines. But being on that stage, speaking those words at that time, it was maybe a 4-minute soliloquy, and the crowd just lost it. I was in the 6th grade, and I actually cried because I didn't know what the heck was happening. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then I realized, oh wait, they're cheering for me.
Like it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, well, what the hell did I say? But at that moment, I realized that I had to also be responsible with my words, if they were able to move people in that way. And I fell in love. I got bit by the bug. I was like, this is it. Somewhere in my life, this is going to play a part. I don't know what and how, but somewhere in my life, this is going to play a part. So I would truly say, really, since I was about 6th grade, that the power of the spoken word became my lover, so to speak.
Okay.
I'm too young to know what that was, but you know what I'm saying.
Yes, I do. I understand. And you know what? That's what people don't realize, is that oftentimes, no matter how old someone is, when you meet them at their debut, they've been in this game, doing it, loving it, and trying to perfect some normalcy in it for a long time.
Yeah.
So Yeah, so you saying sixth grade, I understand totally. Now, my next question is, have you always been an avid reader? Because what I notice is that, at the onset of the books, you talk about how, you set this bar for yourself and who your favorites are. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
you list some heavyweights, okay? You list some heavyweights. So have you always been an avid reader like that? And then you could go ahead and tell them who some of the greats are that you mentioned.
I love books. I've
Mm-hmm.
not been able to be one of those avid readers that could get into electronic books yet. Because I like
Okay.
the feel of the covers and the pages, and I like turning the corners back and taking notes in the book and
Mm-hmm.
rereading them when I'm years older, and what did I think about them then as opposed as compared to what I think about them, after I've aged some and experienced some things.
Right.
I the problem is with being an avid reader, and I was also a literary major. I was a literature major in undergrad. So I also read all of the greats. I can remember specifically being in the 9th or 10th grade reading Beloved for the first time. And this is going to segue into who my favorite authors are.
Right.
And actually getting it. You know what I mean? Now, Toni Morrison
Yeah.
is one of those writers that people are like, I don't want to read her. It's too hard to understand. I don't like Toni Morrison. And I was just determined at that time not to let Toni Morrison defeat me. So the love affair I have with Toni Morrison actually started as a competition. She don't know
Mm-hmm.
that. She's gone now. And I wish I could have had the opportunity to meet her. I would tell her how she changed my literary life.
Right.
But I was determined not to let Toni Morrison beat me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, dude, you're not getting ready to come up in here and just be in charge. You know what I mean? And so
Who attempts looking
the
at reading a book
problem
that
with
way?
reading, hmm,
I said, who attempts looking at reading a book that way, though?
here's the problem with it, right? Because it sounds great. It sounds like an amazing story, right? Like, oh, this sister, she heavy. No, what happens is you begin to then see these people. So my favorites are Toni Morrison, James Baldwin, William Faulkner, just to name a few. These are the types of writers who have an amazing control of the
Yeah.
language. They have amazing understanding of literary technique. They know
Mm-hmm.
how to use them well and still tell a good story and still keep you engaged.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with being an avid reader, particularly of those types of authors and Diane McKinney Whetstone, is then you start to set yourself next to them as a writer.
Yep.
And you're like, oh, I can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm not that good.
Then you got to go
And
back.
so it backfired on me. It really did. It
Okay.
backfired on me, and it stagnated me
Okay. I can see
tremendously
that.
in my own fiction career, in my own novel career. Poetry was easy. It really did.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say it like, ooh, but poetry was really easy for me.
Oh,
Writing
okay.
wasn't. Writing these novels it was not easy because I thought I'm never going to be as amazing as Toni Morrison. So honestly,
Mm-hmm.
when I started writing these stories, I had to stop reading.
Okay. Got you.
I had to stop
So you
reading.
had to separate
I
yourself.
had to.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep. Well, then that kind of that takes me right into my next question, because the next question is, what was your biggest hurdle? You know what I'm saying, in writing these novels?
That was one of them, but I think my other hurdle was me.
How honest?
Again, I think because our talent puts us in these boxes, right? And sometimes those boxes become pitfalls. I had been doing spoken word and writing poetry for so long that at some point I thought, even after the manuscripts were done, and let me just tell you, I started these manuscripts. Should I tell them?
Go on, tell them. Go on, tell them.
Don't judge me. It was like 2008.
That ain't even that bad.
They were finished in 2013.
Yeah.
A little bit before that, actually, about 2011 or 12. Because I stopped and started and stopped and started, and the whole start and stop thing was anyway, that's a whole nother story. And then the computer that they were on crashed.
Yep. Yeah.
Remember that?
Yep. I remember.
And at that point, I felt like God was like, girl, I told you. You ain't bad.
You ain't bad. You ain't nothing. Look.
Right. Wait, is that the 5 heartbeats? Is that the 5 heartbeats? Anyway, yeah.
Michael Jackson, the bad video.
Oh, it's a bad video. Oh, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. Oh, no, you didn't. And then I was like, you know what? I can't let this go. And I called my girl, who I'm sitting here with, who took my baby and took care of it. And she actually had, the blessing was I had sent her every single one, every single chapter. Remember?
Yeah.
And Tracy kept them.
Yeah.
And she sent them back to me, and I started the rewriting process at that point. So really my biggest hurdle has been me. Whether or not people would want to read something that I wrote was that was that long. Whether or not people saw me as a poet and not as a writer. Would they receive me as a writer? I think that's the case with life in general. I think there are probably a lot of people who might be tuned in today who can say that to be true. About any type of endeavor that we have in our lives. So, yeah, just having the courage, I think, to tell a story and develop a whole story. I had the education. I thought I had the skill set, but whether or not I had the courage was yet to be seen. So I had to defeat me. I had to defeat me.
I feel you. That's so honest.
I don't want nobody else to feel that way ever.
I feel you. Like if I can help somebody with that, then that's the point. You know what I'm saying? It's worth going through it. If you can help somebody else with that. Now, I definitely feel that. Now, we've been sitting up here talking, right? And we done forgot to tell everybody what the title of the book is and what the premise is.
Okay, so the title of the book is Reaching the Edge of Mercy. And yes, mercy is misspelled on purpose. It's not an accident. It is a trilogy. Can I tell them how it became a trilogy? Because that's not how it was written. Can I share that with them?
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is your interview.
The other part is once you get the courage, right? Once you like, I got this, like the little locomotive. I think I can. Right. And you start writing. I ended up with over 700 pages typewritten, like 8.5 by 11.5, typewritten 700 pages. But I also had split the book into 3 parts because each part is very significant in what is being told in those parts of the story without trying to give too much away, right?
Right.
And so the first, so Tracy called me after she got everything put together. She like, girl, it was actually 300. Well, it was 300 and some odd pages that ended up being 700 pages once we formatted it.
Once we formatted
it, she was like, girl, we can't.
It was a little over 8.
She said, girl, we can't publish no 700 page. We can't publish no damn 700 page book. And she said, but here's the blessing, girl. You wrote it in these parts and we're going to break it up. Well, once we broke it up, I was like, wait, all 3 can't have the same, all of them can't have the same title. That's not going to work. And she's like, no, we're going to break them out in parts. So the first book is, all books are called Reaching the Edge of Mercy. The first part 1 is Fruits from a Dead Tree. Part 2 is The Reckoning. And part 3 is The Awakening. Right.
And here's the gotcha. What would be the odds? And it's not even in my questions, but it's just so funny. It's more a rhetorical question, but what would be the odds that you would write a novel that would be that long and I would instantly know what to do with it? Because my first 3 novels was a series that wound up being a series much the same way. Like, I got to page 50 and I was like, oh, I'm still in orientation. This is going to be kind of
Let me
long.
tell you
You
what
know
I
what I'm saying?
discovered. Yeah, what I discovered in this process is that God is always working,
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
when we aren't, right?
Right.
So everything that has happened in the last decade,
Mm-hmm.
it couldn't have been released a decade ago. It couldn't
Right.
have been. I
Right.
know that now. I didn't know that then, but I know that now. Everything that has transpired in the last decade prepared for this launching for me in my own personal space, right? That
Right.
thread that started, that was sown very early on, that thread along the way was creating all the steps that needed to get me to this point, right?
Absolutely.
So Tracy's experience with this was a part of it. The fact that I had written it in 3 parts,
That was a blessing.
not because I thought it was going to be 3 books.
Right. Right.
That's
Right.
just, and that's when I know when things are happening and I am not in control of them, like
Yeah.
it's not a plan and
Mm-hmm.
it just works itself out. The
It
odds
did.
are, you said, what are the odds? The odds are God.
Yep. 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 I
Yeah.
totally agree with that. I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful situation, and it was hard to contain my excitement because it's really a good book, y'all. It's really a good book. You know what I'm saying? I'm not telling y'all this just because I know this sister personally, but because we went to college together or any of that. She's always been one of my favorite writers and one of my favorite lyricists as a poet and as a lyricist. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's not a whole bunch of people out here that's sweet like that. You know what I mean? So, but all of that being said, writing a novel, particularly with this subject matter, is heavy, and it's not
Man.
easy. It's not easy, and you wrote it in a way, guys, y'all are going to enjoy it. Like, the subject matter is heavy, but she tells it in a way that keeps you intrigued and entertained. You know what I'm saying? Like, it does everything good fiction is supposed to do. You know, from the love scenes to, people getting cussed out. Whatever the situation is. It's everything you find in a good old, in a good old fiction book that you can't put down. But then it still begs questions. It begs questions just cultural questions. Things that we all are familiar with, but we never want to talk about. It opens those doors. And for anyone who is in the place of mercy, it's going to be a godsend because it's going to let them know that they're not in this world alone. So kudos to you, my sister. Kudos to you. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you.
And I know everybody else like, well, where's the damn book? No, it's coming.
Oh my gosh, it's coming, y'all. It's like it's so close. It's so close. I can like, ugh.
Right, we can smell
I
it.
can feel it, and I'm a ball of nerves though.
You know what? You're gonna be fine. And you know what?
I
I found out nerves just mean that you care. That's all they
Yeah.
mean. You just care, and you're excited, and you want everybody to love it, and they will. They will.
Yeah.
Shit. You might get us the Oprah, girl. Who knows? B-side books gonna get there one way. But you definitely wrote some material here. You know what I'm saying? Now, this is some book club type, her book club, any type of book club. The Right Stuff would love to feature book clubs that want to read this novel. We'd be willing to do that. We'd be excited to do that. Do a nice little meeting.
I would love to.
Like, for real, y'all, we could actually do this. So now tell them what the subject matter is, sis, right? And then just go into why you decided to pick this subject matter, because there's so many in our in culture and society right now that you could have hit. It's amazing. Right. You're hitting this now. Like you said, 10 years ago, it was still a little more taboo than it is now.
Yeah. So this could be a slippery slope, but I think it slides into a good place. Okay. So the subject matter is about familial incest. Not familiar. Should I spell the word? Famil? Lial. Familial, that means family, incest. So I say that and people are like, oh, it's another push, not push. What did it end up being? The movie that Monique
Precious.
and Gabby Precious. The actual book was named Push. When they did it for the screen, they named it Precious. Yeah, so the script is Precious. The actual book was named Push. But is it another one of those? No. It's not sad in that way, right? This really is about Mercy's redemption and self-forgiveness and self-discovery, and healing. This isn't about the incest. Yes, the first chapter of the book gives some history and some background because it wouldn't have made sense otherwise, but you almost forget, to me, that that's what it's about. Because if I must say so myself, and I must, it's pretty intriguing and it's funny, and it's funny, and the sex scenes are great. I like sex and the incest, but too, And Mercy is a trip. Mercy is a trip. Her aunties are a trip. You know what I mean? And so I'm telling a story of trauma, but in a real life, like these people don't just get to be sad, because we join their story when they are finally ready to not be sad. Right.
And how they've run with it, they've kind of taken this trauma and it's a part of them. So it's the luggage that they're used to carrying. However they carry
and that's all it is the luggage. So we get to meet them when they are unpacking the luggage. Now the unpacking is off the chain for certain, you know what I mean? But you don't, I've actually had people pre-read this when it was just in a really raw manuscript, and none of them felt sad by the end of the story, right? Everybody who's supposed to be a sympathetic character is a sympathetic character. Everybody who's supposed to be like, oh, he a devil. You feel that way about, I don't get the devils in the book, no breaks. I need a drink right there. The devils in the book don't get no breaks. They devils from the start to the end. But so the reason I wrote this, right, is because I think this happened to more of our families than we chose to talk about.
Absolutely.
And I think it happened in environments. When I grew up, we had very close-knit neighborhoods. Everybody knew everybody, which also meant everybody knew everybody's business, kind of, right? Because the hard business, what did our parents tell us? What happens in this house
stays in this house. Absolutely.
And so if any part of your happenings in your house leaked out, the response from the community that embraced you, that fed you, that babysat, everybody had the woman on the corner who babysat all the kids before they went to kindergarten. All of that is true. But when something ugly happened, a lot of times the community, where you lived, where you went to church, aren't backs on you. And so some of these stories were never able to be told. We watched it. This story is not a new story. The way I tell it may be new, but the story in itself is not new. We watched it on The Color Purple. It's exactly. It's exactly what it was about, right?
And even at the beginning of the television series Greenleaf. Because when
I never watched Greenleaf, but this is what I heard.
Her sister had been, molested by an uncle and had, grown up, and she had killed herself. You see what I'm saying? So, and that was the onset. Now, of course, they went to telling the story about the church and everything, and it kind of glossed over it a little, but it was there. It was there, like the elephant in the room, in the series. You know what I'm saying? And so, again, like I said, look at the time frame between The Color Purple and Greenleaf. You know what I'm saying? At the time, The
And
Color
how
Purple
many
came
of those
out.
stories never get told, or when they're told, the families are judged, and so the perpetrator, right? The perpetrator gets to be free.
Yeah, one way or
And
another.
they ruined generations of black women, and this is very much that at this moment,
Yeah.
this book,
Hmm.
they ruined generations of black women who carry trauma. And sometimes by the time the second or third generation of those women come to being, they're carrying trauma of abuse they never even experienced
Right. It's the it's
firsthand.
the it's the it's the cloud of it though. It's so
Yep.
big, so dark, and so
The
heavy.
cloud, the shame
Absolutely.
is thick, is
Yes.
smothering. And so
Yes.
I wrote this, um, first of all, to say that we can outlive that trauma, that we
Hmm.
can find places, whatever it is. It don't have to be as heavy or as deep as abuse, but whatever the trauma is. My cousin Natasha and I, she's a part of a movement that I started, and we talked about doing a cousins retreat. And this is segue right out of this question. Um, and we talked about the generations, our generation, because I'm 46, almost 47. I know.
I know,
Yeah,
right?
like bullshit. Okay.
46, 47. Where? What?
I'm all the way
What?
real, y'all. I've been trying to contain myself for this interview, like don't stick your tongue out, but mm,
And
we talked about though about the trauma that we have, that our mothers and their cousins all experienced, and how it has damaged relationships in this generation, because we're still carrying that. None of that happened to us. It ain't got nothing to do with
yes,
us.
yes.
You know, so I wrote
Hmm.
that so that old adage of what happens in this house, so that can finally die. That's
Yes,
ridiculous.
yes,
It's
yes,
ridiculous. And it's
absolutely.
okay for us not to be okay. It's not okay for us to stay not okay.
Yes, yes.
That's not okay.
At some point, you're going to have to meet yourself. All of it.
Mm-mm.
Yep.
You better say that. Yeah, indeed.
Now, I guess
Indeed.
this will be the perfect time for you to read your excerpt.
All right,
'Cause
so
you
y'all
know,
been messing around with this excerpt, and then my computer started acting all crazy, like I was in some weird compatibility mode, and I think I got it back.
okay,
So let me see.
I'm digging this though.
I know, right? Right? I've been a ball of nerves all day, and I got to stop doing that to myself. Um, I'm gonna start here because I don't know how long an excerpt is supposed to be.
They said no, that's the thing. You know, like I say, I don't know how long they're going to give me on here, but I believe I can get at least an hour. So we're good. We're not
I
even,
figured
we're
we'd be
coming on
about an
halfway
hour.
through.
So I'm
Yeah.
gonna pick this up. This is actually in the forward of the book, where I keep saying that it's the forward or the intro. Okay.
Yeah.
When y'all get it, y'all see. Alrighty. Mercy waited for her mother to be a mother for so long, waited for her to share her own coming of age stories to help Mercy learn to navigate through her own becoming. She waited for Carlotta to warn her about testosterone-driven boys who wanted nothing more than to get her out of her panties. Mercy waited for any of the women around her to tell her the secrets of being a woman, the intricacies of proper grooming and hygiene, the correct way to insert a tampon, and what kinds of undergarments are best for wearing under white pants. But it never came. And she finally accepted that it would never come, and that she was in this world alone. And when she turned 16, a time when most girls her age were learning how to drive, cheerleading at the Friday night football games, and venturing out for their first times on real first dates, Mercy came face to face with her own reality and finally understood that her very existence had been unexpected and unwanted, and by all accounts, a sin, or at least a crime. She no longer felt trapped by superficial perceptions, nor did she feel invisible. Her existence had finally been given a face, and it was vile. She was a freak of nature, and imagined that if anyone looked at her too closely, they'd be able to see how deformed she really was. So instead of praying to be seen, She worked to become further elusive. Having known nothing but the inside of her shell, she finally came to love it there. If she could go back in time and talk to those 13 and 14-year-old girls whom she'd shared the classrooms and cafeterias with in middle school, she'd warn them against pining for the possessions and attributes of others. In the words of her grandmother, Georgia Sweet, never know how much mess someone else got to deal with to appear so happy. God gave each of us something to be thankful for and each of us a burden to carry, she'd mumble through the puffs of her Virginia Slim. Except Mercy didn't believe in God because she figured that he somehow looked past her too. He played a cruel joke on her, and because he had decided that hers was a body worth giving a heartbeat to. She had been forced into this perverted fate from the moment her seed was planted in its violated womb, and she was one seed that should never have been allowed to grow. How could God be so cruel if he was supposed to be so merciful? If he was so all-knowing, he must have been aware that Mercy would suffer and that she would be a constant reminder to Carlotta of the abuse she'd suffered, and that the pain would always be reflected in the only child Carlotta would ever bear. Mercy often questioned God and expected answers that could have never truly satisfied her inquiries. It was a load she never expected to be relieved of. Where was the mercy in that? Jesus only endured the pain of carrying his cross for a few miles and didn't complain about getting nailed to it and left to die because he knew that his reward was a paradise. Was she supposed to be more of a martyr than Christ himself? What reward would she have ever received from being the dirty little secret in her family? It was not bad enough that God had not sterilized the pedophile that simultaneously created and destroyed her life and the lives of every woman who was supposed to teach her how to be a woman. But choosing not to pull the plug on the proof of Grace Samuel's affliction was plain and simple, merciless. And something else she knew. It made no sense for those who love this so-called God to believe in his promise of peace or in his ability to stop bad people from preying on the unprotected and defeating and defecating on the innocents in this world. No one was more of a devout servant of God. No one sang louder during Sunday morning worship, and no one lifted his name up in praise like her grandmother, Georgia Sweet Samuel. But no one had less to be thankful for. Georgia Sweet had married Grace Samuel when she was just 19 years old. He was 31. She was by all accounts a child who knew nothing more about the harsh ways of the world. She had surrendered herself to marriage, believing that she'd share a love like the one her parents shared, alive and unwavering. But she was marrying a man who was dead inside. She and the 2 generations of women that would follow her died the day she said, "I do." That's it.
That's what's up right there.
Was that good enough?
That was wonderful. That was great. And look, the cool part is that's just the forward. That's just enough.
That's just the forward. That is just the forward.
I am digging it. I am digging it. So that was just enough to get everybody intrigued and excited, and
just know it's all uphill from there.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. Now, here we are. You've been writing since the 6th grade, everything from rap to poetry, and now 3 fiction novels, right? What would be your advice to the aspiring writer?
To keep writing.
Yep.
Even when there's no story to tell, even when you're not sure that the story you're telling, you don't know where the hell it's going, even if you're not sure that it's a story that's relevant or that the world needs to hear or that anybody needs to hear, keep writing. You always write yourself into the place that you need to be. Be courageous. Write the one thing that you think, my ass must be crazy. That's okay.
Write that.
Be crazy.
Yeah.
Be crazy. Because what I discovered about writing is that everybody in the audience may not feel it, but the people who need to will. They will.
Absolutely.
That has never, it's a philosophy that has never failed me. not in my spoken word career. It just in no parts of this thing has it ever failed me. Right through your writer's block.
Yes.
I
Yes.
don't give a shit if you write the lyrics to a song you already know.
Just keep writing.
Sometimes other people's words inspire you right through your writer's block. Develop your vocabulary.
Yes.
It is the difference in telling a street story that will always just be a street story, and I'm not making any qualms to people who write those particular stories, although no one did it better than Donald Goins.
Okay.
No.
That was my first book.
Because you know why? Because he had control of the language. He had a vocabulary that wasn't just cuss words, that wasn't just, you know, it's the colloquialisms. It's the difference between your book being something that your friends and family love, and there's nothing wrong with that, and it crossing the line into academic.
Yes.
And I'm gonna tell you this is the honest to God's truth. Toni Morrison wrote probably 15 years before Beloved made her famous.
Wow.
She had 3 books prior to that. The Bluest Eye, Tar Baby. I'm forgetting one. The Bluest Eye, Tar Baby. I'm gonna have to go look it up. She wrote those in short stories in literary magazines. She did not become famous as a writer until Beloved.
Wow.
And Beloved is a dark story, and Beloved is a Black story. It's a Black story. You hear me? Beloved is a story that uses a lot of dialect, because it's told, and it's a timepiece, so it's told in a historical time where dialect would have been spoken at that time. And even with all of that, it's read in every 11th, 12th grade or college class who are in advanced literature classes.
Yep.
It's discussed in ways beyond the movie. It's discussed in ways that we've seen that before with For Colored Girls.
Yes.
Okay, that was written by Cyde Shange. I always say her name fucked up. But anyway, my fault. Dang, I was trying not to curse. Y'all, that's me. Jesus. That's too much work. But tell the story. But if you really want it to be more than just a story, you want it to become something that is classic, that has literary value. Develop your vocabulary. And the only way that you do that is by being an avid reader.
Yes.
Study the greats. Know who they are. Know why they are great. If you're not trying to be great, fine. Don't tell nobody else that, though. Don't tell nobody that you're not trying to be great. Don't do that.
I swear, that's not a good look. That's not a good look. Now,
don't do that. Go ahead.
Every author, every writer has, their process. Like I don't know about nobody else, but I know my whole house got to be straightened up a little bit so that when I get ready to write, I don't have to do anything else afterwards.
You want me to tell you about a process? Okay, go ahead. I'm listening.
Yes. I mean, that which you feel comfortable sharing, of course. You know what I'm saying? But
that would be the part. But okay.
But
now finish your question so I know I'm asking the right question.
Huh?
Now finish your question so I know I'm answering the right question. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. The question is just, what's your writing process? Like, do you have to set the mood in the room? Do you write some music? No, TV got to be playing in the background. What is it?
So I can't really write with noise in the background. It doesn't work well for me. But right. I do have my sort of preparation, right? So I'll listen to something that inspires me, that music, right? Because to me, music and literature kind of go hand in hand.
They do.
And just like my literary favorites, my music favorites are geniuses, flat out. So I'm going to listen to a little bit of Prince or Layla Hathaway or Maxwell. Quite frankly, Maxwell writes and composes and arranges and sings, and people don't know that. They don't give him credit for it. Stevie Wonder, Chaka Khan, Tina Turner. I'll listen to some. I know I'm old. Right? Okay, whatever. So I'll listen to something that I like, you know what I mean, that I'm singing along with. I will probably have some form of an elixir.
Right.
An intoxicant of some sort. Not to the point where I am intoxicated though, right? Where I'm just relaxed enough to just tell the story and not get hung up somewhere like, oh girl, you can't say that.
Yeah.
I gotta just release a little bit of that reserve, that conservativism. Did I make up a word? Conservatism. I got a creative license. I can make up words. Okay.
Right.
And then I write. I don't have an end point, right? For that day, if I only write 30 minutes, that's fine. If I write for 2 hours and I get lost in what I'm writing, that's fine. I don't have an end point. And also, I think I don't try to tell the story. I let the story tell itself.
Yes.
I used to say I let my pen tell the story, but since we all typing it now, it's not really done with a pen. I just let the story tell itself, and most of the time, it takes me places like, girl, really though? I want to put it down on the page there. Right. So that's pretty much it. I cannot write with background noise though.
Okay.
And I give honor to people who can do that because it makes me want to do music, right? So I'm hearing it. You can remember I'm a hip hop artist too.
Right.
That was the birth of it for me. You know what I mean? And I'll be in there like, you know what I mean? Like, no, Don, wait, you ain't supposed to be trying to write this. Or the music, the lyrics, because I'm a lyricist. I could care less about the instrumental.
Right.
The lyrics will start influencing what's happening on the screen. So try to have no outside influences. And then I just commit to writing and letting it go wherever it's going to go.
Got you.
Yeah.
And then I got to ask you, what's next for the writer in you? Because we know you are the co-founder of the Back to Love movement on Facebook.
Yes.
I think it's very important to say that.
Yes.
But then also, we know that you got other writing endeavors. And mind you, although these are her first fiction novels, she's already published a book of poetry. So what's next?
So I'm actually working on two things at the same time, which I haven't figured out if it's a good idea yet. But in the last year, since we have not been able to, since outside is closed,
right?
I have been spending being productive inside, and I realized that I've written enough new poetry to publish a new poetry book. So I don't really have to work on that because the poems are already there. There are a couple more I'm working on that I'm going to add to the collection. But I am also starting the last book in this series. So I know y'all like, really? You wrote 3 books and you still got more to say about this family? Yes. Because this family got more story to be told. And I almost decided that I would write. A lot of my friends that are friends with me on social media, I write a lot of commentary on my page. And they're like, you need to take all that commentary and you need to put it into a book. And I'm like, I almost did that before I wrote the end of this story, of Mercy's story. But Mercy right now, Mercy pretty much stepped in like,
no, it's my time.
That other stuff right there, you gotta go. You know what I mean? Get rid of that. Let's get this done. And she started writing. She came in and said, "Let's get this done." So it will not be a trilogy. It will be a final chapter and a final life story. And then, you know, what's funny is I've written so much, from raps to poetry to short stories to books, that I worry that I don't have anything else to write after this.
Oh, girl.
I know that sounds silly, right? But the inside of me says, do you have another story to tell? And I believe I do. If I had to be honest, if I had to be honest and still try to stay humble about this, I'm going to officially call myself a writer.
Yeah.
And I think I'll spend the rest of my life penning novels. I'll drop poetry in there because I'm gonna always perform and do that thing once, like I said, outside reopens. So I will I'll be doing that, dropping that stuff here and there. But I honestly just think this is just the first of my fiction novel. And potentially, I don't like self-help books. I don't like that. But I can see myself doing some of my commentary in the book as well.
I could see that as well. It should. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because you have an active following. They're busy if they're nothing else. You know?
I know. Yeah, that following sometimes they be like, but I'm like, I ain't tell you to think like me. This is my opinion, you know?
Right.
And also, I think with Back to Love, if I can just really briefly shout Back to Love movement is a information platform, and after all of the uproar this summer with George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, I saw all those young people out there and thought to myself, we got soldiers. What they don't have is the knowledge of moving the fight from the street to the table.
Right.
When it's time to legislate, when it's time to talk about how we make these changes that we out here fighting for, because we can't let them be on the streets fighting and dying for a cause that they don't know how to change.
Absolutely.
Right? And we dropped the ball on that. The civil rights era, our parents didn't really pass that stuff on to us. The ability to organize around a cause. And so Back to Love came about because I decided, I don't know if I want to be the organizer, but I at least want to be a source of information.
Yeah.
I believe that when people are informed, they make better decisions. Right? Or at least they have means of being able to navigate. So Back to Love is a movement that tries to cover all things community and all things that affect us in the community. And it is just getting started. We're trying to get the podcast off the ground. We do a spoken word event. We do a think tank. The Facebook page is Back to Love Movement. You can look it up. It's visible. You do have to get permission to join because we don't want no crazy people.
Right.
Or no lurkers. We don't want these people who are out here putting this propaganda. You know, Russia is messing with our social media, right? Right. We don't want those type of people in the group. So I really want to work that movement at some point, and really see how we can collab with other grassroots organizations across the country and start trying to make movement in how we legislate. Right. Legislation occurs before the vote. And we're so frustrated by the vote because we don't know that there's a whole process that happens before that. Right. But it's important for us to know that. And some, you know, doesn't know. It doesn't have to be for youth in general. For anybody who wants those type of tools, check me out at Back to Love. My author's page, you getting ahead of yourself. No, you good. The author's page is Don L. Crooks. Author's page, I think that's just it. No, it's Don L. Crooks, Wisdom the Psalmist. I think if you look up Don L. Crooks, though, it probably should come up. It's a public page. So if you do Wisdom the Psalmist first, my Facebook page is going to come up, not my author's page. So just make sure you're looking at the one that says author's page. Right. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't like to pin myself in and say, this is what I'm going to do next. I'm like, wherever the universe. I'm India Irie on this one right here. Wherever the wind blows, I might paint my toes. Who knows? So
But then
That's
this one,
it.
if there was one thing that you, this is the last question. If there was one
Okay.
thing that you could change about this writer's experience, what would it be? If there is one thing, if you would change
Hell
anything.
yeah. It's a one thing. It's a not take another decade. It's a Jesus Christ. It's an absolutely not take another decade.
Right.
To first of all, my courage level is different.
Yeah.
I'm like, you can do this, girl.
Yeah.
So yeah, just not take another decade. You
Okay.
know,
Mm-hmm.
and I think the next time I want to learn more about the process. This time I was just like, here, Tracy, here's the manuscript. You know, and
Yeah,
she'll
you
be
don't
talking
want
to
to
me,
do
y'all.
that.
This is the last thing, I swear to God. She'll be talking to me like, and then you know, you got to do the wiggle with the woogle, and I be like, she don't see my face on this end of the phone. I be like,
What? Girl.
I don't want to know all that because that's what. Listen, I'm the type of person that I'll pay for what I want.
And I appreciate that. I
You
appreciate
know,
it.
my
I
girl
really
is
do.
thinking, she tell me all the time, like, Don, I could teach you how to make the detox. I don't want to know how to make, you make the detox. I will pay you to make the detox. So I think next time, next time I will get into, I do want to learn more about how formatting works and kind of be more involved in that part of it. So
She say that, y'all. She don't want that work. The minute I put her on that, I'll be like, okay, babe, we gonna do a Zoom and we gonna do it. She gonna be like, girl, shoot, I got this, I got that. You go ahead.
you know, I always thought I was a patient person. I'm patient about things I want to know. I, you know, it's almost like math to me. I'm just like, am I gonna ever use it? So
Right, start
but- boom. You know what I mean?
It's cool. If you want
So
to learn, I don't mind showing you. But if you just had to do
little
it,
by
I'm
little,
not doing it.
at least enough to like fully grasp what you're saying. Because I think, like, can I give you some love real quick before we shut this down? Is that
Girl,
okay?
heck yeah, shoot. I didn't want to be too long on you.
Listen, Tracy, Tia Elise, I don't know who there's nobody else I would have trusted this with. She's been on this journey with me since 2008.
Well, you know, we
She
admit
didn't
some
get on
leaders
my
don't have
nerves
to come
about
in
it.
on work.
Yeah, she didn't get on my nerves about it. She wasn't like, I can't believe you. Yeah. Every now and again, she like, I'm waiting on you. That's it.
Yeah.
She did it, put pressure on me to do it. As a writer herself, I think she understood that wasn't gonna make me do it no faster any goddamn
No.
way. She is awesome. She is
Oh,
self-taught.
thanks, sweetie.
She is self-made. And I don't know if you can have. I don't know if you can appreciate what you have unless the dirt that built the foundation is under your fingernails. I'm gonna say that again. I
I get you.
don't know if you can appreciate what you have unless the dirt from the foundation that built it is under your own fingernails. And I ain't saying she dirty. I'm saying it's a lot of dirt under her nails. And to me, I watched her grow as a writer. I watched her grow into a publisher. She like, I ain't no publisher. Aside from the distribution, by definition, you are. And she taught herself all of this. And I just she thinks I'm awesome, but I think she is untouchable at what she does. And I think that when she decides she's going to do it and she's going to figure it out and learn it, she's going to do it. She has never said to me, I'm going to, and she didn't. Never happened. Never happened. So when she calls me from New York or from Ohio, I could be in Jamaica. One day I'm gonna live in Jamaica. She could call me from Jamaica. She could say, sis, and I'm like, when? I'm on a plane.
You always
and I
come through for me. You always come
and I
through.
mean that. Because I it's more than love. It's more than like this my sister, this my girl. I respect your grind. I respect your grind. Okay, that's it. I'm done. I respect it. Period. That's it.
You know that means the world to me, right? You know, you have me up here on my first interview about to cry with the wine in the
I know.
next room.
You saw me have to like get it together. Like, don't you go there? Yeah.
I'm so excited about this and everything. You know, COVID can act like it want to slow us down if it wants to. But what it really made me do is go on and test this program I've been messing with because I refuse to not blow this up because it's a special moment. I'm so proud of you, personally, professionally. You know, I'm in awe of you, and I am so thankful I get to share this ride with you. This is amazing. Can't wait. You know what I mean? When you get the book,
it has been
I'll be able to hear you in
amazing.
Detroit. When you get them in your hand, I'm gonna be able to hear you in Detroit.
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't hear me when they sent me that copyright. I was like, I mean, like it was like it's like I don't even celebrate Christmas. It's like opening your favorite. It's like opening a Jaguar for Christmas.
Yes. Yes.
From the man that you love more than you love the way you breathe. Like it's all that. It's all that in one.
It is.
Swear to God. Swear to God. But I thank you. I thank you for everything and being patient with me and being loving with me and encouraging me. I got to shout out Regina Poole. Regina Poole did the cover art. Yo, that's all I'm going to say.
I'm saying.
She didn't even know she could.
Like, she the holy grail up in the piece. Like, seriously? Like, I got to finish writing my next book so she can do the cover. You feel me? She did that and made it so seamless. It was getting ready to be an issue. It was getting ready to be an issue.
When she sent it to me, I was looking at them like, all I'm going to tell y'all is the covers tell the story. That's it. The covers summarize the story in a way, girl. So you know what? When you around badass sisters, you ain't got no choice but to be a badass sister. Salute,
That's right. That's right. That is so right.
Salute.
And look, just the last little plug, y'all, to make y'all want to pick this book up. You've heard us speak to her and speak of her as a poet, right? Well, the way that we're getting ready to promote these books, okay, you're going to meet the poet. And I'm going to just say that. You know what I mean? I'm going to just leave that right there. The way that we're getting ready to promote these books, you're going to meet Wisdom the Psalmist. Anyway.
First promotion occurs as soon as we hang up from this interview. I mean, the preparation. I'm getting it together. Right. I'm going to shoot it out tonight to Tracy. Tonight.
Yeah, that's going to be dope. I can't wait. So, sis, I love you so much. And we did that. We did. Right?
We did that.
I know.
I know I got a big ass smile, y'all, but it is what it is. I'm happy.
I know, right? And it's great to still be able to celebrate this together because, you know, in any other situation, we'd be sitting next to each other. So,
I know. This will be over soon. If y'all stay out these COVID streets, I got to look right at the camera.
Okay. Stay home.
If y'all, okay, I'm done. I ain't going. Because this was too good of a space. We leaving this space just like it feel right now.
All right, dear. So look, y'all, I just want to tell y'all thank you so much for rocking with us. It has been amazing doing this with my sis. And we'll probably be back at y'all with something else real soon. Haven't figured it out yet, but you know, it's coming. This came together today, so you know, ain't no telling what could come about.
Ain't no telling. I know, right?
So, baby, I shall see you soon. And guys, you just keep a lookout for the very next episode of The Right Stuff, baby.
Right stuff, baby.
I know, right? Going to play my intro real quick. Hold on. Oh, Lord. Look, every now and again. There you go. There you go. All right. We see you soon, sis. I love you. Take care.
I love you too, mommy. Love you.
Peace.